That's why you have been projecting onto me whenever I go out somewhere, oh, well, I hope you're not cheating on me, because you're the one motherfucking cheating. Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new, and thank you for joining me today for another story time. If you guys don't know, 2 years ago in 2020, in the middle of the pandemic, I made my first story time titled Caught My Ex Cheating. And that video, 4 months later, I didn't know it at the time, but it would completely change the course and trajectory of my whole entire life. That video literally went from 0 to 100 overnight, started my channel. I was able to get monetized and then create my platform here on YouTube for you guys to sit back and enjoy my stories, and for me to make this my full-time job and career, which I am so always internally grateful for. I don't think I'll ever be able to properly express the amount of gratitude and just love that I have in my heart for all of you. So thank you guys so much for everything you have done for me over the past couple of years. I do truly appreciate it. Today's video, I thought it would be kind of fun to go down memory lane and tell you guys a story of how I became a single mom. I did do a video of a backstory of how I found out my ex cheated on me. I did do a part 1 and 2 of me finding out I was pregnant, you know, things of that nature, but I never really told you guys the full story. And also I think it would be cool for me to 9 years later now kind of self-reflect, tell you guys what I've learned, maybe tell you and give you a piece of my testimony that might help you along the way. So that's what we're going to get into today. Before we get started, don't forget to give this video a like. It really helps me out in the algorithm, gets the video out there. Don't forget to subscribe. It is free. Join the Coda Crew family. I'll give you 5 seconds to do that. Did you do it? Okay, good. Welcome to the family. Also, don't forget to turn your post notifications on. This way YouTube can notify you every single time I post a video here on YouTube, period. Follow my personal development podcast. It's called Sis Let's Heal, available on all streaming platforms. Without further ado, let's get into the story time.
It's been a minute since we last kicked it. By the way, just got in town, and I won't let cumulus clouds all in the sky.
So to give you all a little bit of a backstory, if you are new here, I did grow up in Connecticut, and then I moved to New Jersey when I was 14, and then I ended up coming back to New Jersey when I was around 18. I think I was a month shy away from my 19th birthday. To give you guys a little bit of a context, I didn't always have a lot of self-worth, a lot of self-confidence, and a lot of self-love. In fact, I don't think that I really became confident within my own skin and properly started to love myself until I was about 26 years old, and I am now 28. So for my whole entire life, I never valued myself. I never really loved myself. I didn't value my body and who I was sharing it with and who I was giving my mental, physical, and emotional energy to. And so because of that, it caused me to be in a lot of narcissistic, mentally abusive relationships where I was sharing so much of myself in hopes that somebody would love me back properly, and I never truly valued myself enough in order to have a quality man come into my life and love me the way that I was supposed to be loved and destined to be loved. Because of that, that's why I have so many of these relationships that I come on here onto social media and tell you guys stories about, because for a long period of my life, and I believe in every single period of your life, you have a season, right? So in some areas of your life, you're going to have a season where you're winning and you're super successful and people are going to be gravitated towards you and your success. And you're also going to have seasons in your life where maybe you're depressed and you're not feeling good and you're not doing well career-wise, you're not doing well relationship-wise, or you're not doing good as a parent or as a wife or as a girlfriend or whatever. And I think it's really important, if you follow God or if you follow spirituality, to serve yourself out in your seasons. Right now, I feel like this time last year, I was really doing so well on YouTube. My videos were getting 30,000 views per video. I was getting so many subscribers. I literally went from 100 subscribers to 10,000 in 6 months. And I definitely am super happy and grateful for the success I've had thus far, but I do feel like lately my channel isn't getting as much attention. Not a lot of people are gravitating towards it. It's mainly just my OG subscribers, but we're not really reaching a new, broader audience just yet. And I was super beating myself up about it, and then I finally woke up and realized, like, Dakota, like, it's okay. You know why? Because it's other people's seasons right now to be super successful on YouTube and to win and to, you know, be who they're supposed to be. Like, this is their season. Clap and be happy for them, and yours is coming. Don't worry about it. You are in a season right now where you are being called, right? So like, I know like what I'm doing right now is what God is calling me to do, which is coming on here, sharing my experience, sharing my stories, and in order to help other people learn that you're not alone, but also that if you've been through this, I've been through it too. Or maybe like, hey, here's a page out of my book, and maybe don't do what I did. Like, maybe don't date men who have a million red flags and then you can make it into a scarf and wear it. Like, no, like, let's actually be smarter than that. Let's know our self-worth. Let's know who we are, and let's live out that purpose, right? So I feel like in all of my relationships where I have been with these men who maybe have not treated me great, or maybe they've just been like narcissistic and they've love bombed me, so I thought I was being treated great, but really I was being manipulated. It was a season of my life that I had to be in, because how can I sit at a table that I've never ate at? How can I go down a road and talk about roads I've never personally been down? You can't. It's like going to a dentist and asking them to perform open heart surgery. They can't do that. That's not their credentials. It's not what they're knowledgeable in. But if you go to a surgeon, a heart surgeon, a doctor, someone who's done it for years and years and years, they're credited for advice, right? So like for me, I feel like I've been through these relationships, I've made these mistakes, I've been through these trials and these, you know, these hurdles and stuff, and I've turned my pain into power, and I've been able to make my trials into my testimony. And so now like I'm credible to give advice on if you're dating somebody and maybe there's red flags, or to give advice on how to use your intuition and your discernment within your life and your daily decisions. In my life, I've served all of my seasons, right? I've been in part of my life where I've been dead broke and I've been sleeping on an air mattress in the attic of my father's house. I've been through the seasons where I've had my own apartment and I've been financially stable. I've been through the seasons where I've lost everything and had to move back in with my father and rebuild my life. I've been in the seasons where I've lost my job and I didn't know where my next meal was coming from. I've been through all of these seasons, and most importantly, I've understood my assignment. So that's why I'm able to come here today and tell these stories with a smile on my face, because I know that in my life they've served out all these purposes, because you have to go through things in your life sometimes in order to get to where you need to be, in order to understand your assignments, pass your level, and then transfer that knowledge onto other people, because what good is the knowledge that we have if we're not trying to help and heal the collective? So for me personally, it was a season of my life where I did not have a lot of self-worth or self-love, and I just wanted love so bad, but I didn't know anything about healthy love or attachment styles or anything of that nature. So I was in this period of my life where I was just kind of going with the motion. I had a plan, you know, knew I wanted to go to school to be a teacher or to do psychology. I had like this like huge 5-year plan that I was going to go to school, I was going to graduate, I was going to move out, buy a house, find a really amazing man, have kids with them and things of that nature. And God was kind of like, sis, you thought you need to learn so much more before you just jump into this life that you predestined for yourself, but this is not the life that I have laid out for you. So what ended up happening was I moved back from New Jersey. Very long story short, moved back from New Jersey, moved back with my dad, found a job at this daycare that I will be telling stories of in the future, and I started to work. I enrolled in school, things like that. Now, during my time where I had free time, I would often hang out with my best friend, Tori, who's still my best friend to this day. We just don't hang out that much anymore because we're just in different areas of our lives too. And I think that that's okay, is learning that like sometimes in life, like you twist and you turn, but you and another person are not twisting and turning at the same time. And maybe you're in different seasons of your life. And it doesn't mean that like the friendship has to end. It just means that the friendship is at a different place, and that sometimes your friendship right now is not in its winning season, but maybe it will be in the future. And you can still check in and like ask them how they're doing and where they're going and what's going on in life, but you don't have to be like as close as you were, especially with childhood best friends, right? So we used to hang out all the time when we didn't really have jobs, when we like really just weren't caring about life. We would just scrape up whatever money that we had and we would go to hookah bars, right? So you guys know this hookah bar, I talk about it all the freaking time in my story times, this hookah bar called Sky. That's where I went. I met Ryan, who's my child's father. These are not real names, by the way. It's where I met Adrian's funky ass. It's where I met my ex, I don't remember what I named him, but the guy that I was dating before I started dating Ryan, who's my child's father now. So we used to go to this hookah bar all the time, right? All the time. And we would just go with my friend Tori and her boyfriend John, and we would just chill, smoke hookah, listen to music. And it would be like the highlight of our Thursday night. Back when I wasn't a grandma and I could go out on a Thursday night and stay out till 3 in the morning and properly function the next day. My 28-year-old ass now is like, bitch, you fucking thought. I think not. We go to this hookah bar, and that is where I met a lot of the men that I would then have relationships with over the next years that would teach me so much about my life and who I am and what I no longer will tolerate now that I am an empowered woman who knows her worth and knows, you know, what I want in a relationship, what to look for in a potential husband, what to look for as a potential father figure for my daughter, and things of that nature. So I end up going to this hookah bar and I meet Ryan. And if you want to know the backstory about that, just check out my story of I caught my ex cheating, and it will give you a brief description of everything that happened with that. But very long story short, I met Ryan. We fell for each other, but then I didn't think that the relationship was well, we didn't have a relationship. We talked for a few days. And I had a lot of red flags, a lot of gut feelings, so I ended up temporarily parting from him, and I ended up dating one of his friends. And that didn't last long either. It only lasted a couple months. And then after I dated one of his friends, I remember it was around Mother's Day, and me and my mom at this time were kind of in a little bit of a fight. And so I remember I was actually at my friend Giovanna's house because she had just gotten nose surgery, and I was there and I was visiting her and kind of just like taking care of her. You know, she just had surgery and she was a single mom as well. And I remember always hanging out with her, and she would always tell me, she'd be like, Dakota, you have such a bright future ahead of you. You have so much going for you. Please learn from my mistake. Wait to have kids. And she would like literally drill and embed it into my mind. Like, girl, this is no walk in the park. She had her baby when she was 16. So she was going through high school pregnant, high school as a mom while trying to get her life together. She worked like 2 jobs. Like, she is literally the definition of a boss. And she would always tell me, Dakota, wait until you're ready. Wait until you're ready. Don't make the same mistakes that I did. So I remember Mother's Day, I got this sudden urge to text Ryan, and I don't know why. It was, I think honestly, I was just very lonely, and I had just gotten out of my little like relationship type thing with the guy that I was with before him. And I was in a very vulnerable state of mind where I looked back and I was like, okay, maybe it could work out. Maybe I misjudged the situation. Maybe he's actually a good guy, and maybe I should give him a chance. And I started to kind of think about what life would have been like if I had chosen Ryan over his friend. So I ended up texting him and kind of just apologizing, because when I did stop talking to him, it did hurt him. So I wanted to say sorry, wanted to, you know, plead my case, and I thought maybe one day in the future we could come back together. Now, at this time, Ryan was actually in a relationship with another girl, and he was living with her like the whole 9 yards. So when I found that out, I was like, okay, like it's just not going to work out. Maybe we can just be friends, because we did kind of have the same group of friends, and I didn't run into him a lot because we wouldn't all hang out at the same time. But I was like, maybe in the future we'll run into one another, and maybe we can fix things, or maybe we can mend things, you know, if it just so happens that we run into each other and we're both single. Whatever happens, happens, right? So it just so happens that I got invited to go to my friend's house to jump on the trampoline and have a fire and have hookah. And this is before, obviously, I had kids. So I was able to, on a Wednesday after work, just make random plans and go out and not have to think about, you know, babysitting arrangements and diapers and wipes and things of that nature. So I left work, went home, changed, and went to my friend's house to go on the trampoline. And I didn't know that Ryan was going to be there. So when I showed up and I saw him, I was kind of like, oh my God, like what's going on right now? So we ended up all hanging out and just having a good time. My best friend Tori was there, my friend, you know, all my friends were there, and we were just having a blast. And Ryan actually asked me if he could pull me to the side and he could talk to me, and I said yeah. And so we start talking, and he basically starts saying how he still has feelings for me, and that, you know, when I texted him to apologize, he realized that he still really liked me, but that he's scared to fall into these feelings because, you know, he does have a girlfriend, but he sees himself like more with me, or he really is getting like the urge to kind of try with me, but he doesn't want to leave his girlfriend, because what if we end up together and we end up working out, but then I end up leaving him, or I lie to him, or I date one of his friends again, and then he doesn't have anything else to fall back on, right? Or he's like, you know, I have this girl who like actually really cares about me and she likes me, so I just want to make sure like before I get into this with you that it's worth it. And I kind of was sitting there like, whoa, 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 pump up the brakes. I mean, yeah, like totally, I would absolutely love to be with you and try things, but you have a girlfriend. You can't just leave her because I'm expressing interest in you. Like, that's not fair, right? And so we kind of get into like a little bit of like, not like an argument, but like a back and forth. And it's kind of like, okay, like what are we gonna do? How is this gonna work out? And right in the middle of us arguing, my friend Rob walks into the garage where we're talking, and he just kind of walks in. I think he was coming to get like a soda or something, and he walks into the garage and he's like, I definitely just was not supposed to walk in here, like, you know, like wrong place, wrong time. So he walks right back out, and I kind of took that as initiative to be like, listen, this looks shady. You have a girlfriend and we're literally talking in a garage. Like, let's just talk about this later. And he's like, okay, sounds good. So we end up leaving the garage and we go back to the fire, and we basically end that night, and I say goodbye to everybody and I go home, and he calls me on his way home so we can kind of finish the conversation. And he's like, I really like you and I really want to give this a try, and I think I'm just going to kind of dismantle like this life that I have right now with my girlfriend because I want to give you a try. And I was like convincing him not to, because I would have been very pissed if somebody had done that to me. Like if I was with a guy and he met a girl and, you know, that kind of thing happened, like I would be very upset. And I never want to inflict pain onto another woman in my life. So I was encouraging him not to. I said, you know, make sure like things work out, try things with her, and who knows, if eventually in the future we end up both being single, then we're both single and we can see if things can work out. Now, eventually over time, him and this girl do end up breaking up, and it wasn't organically. It wasn't like, oh, we're in different places in our life, so we have to separate. It was more so along the lines of he wanted to be with me and he wanted to give things a try, so he was going to end things with her. And I would be lying if I sat here and say that I didn't know that. I was 19 years old. I was so naive. I had no self-worth, no self-love, and I knew mentally that it was wrong. Like I said, I never want to inflict pain onto another woman, ever, ever, ever. But I knew mentally that that wasn't right? Like I remember like the day that he ended up leaving her and he was moving all of his stuff out. And I just had a realization of the karma that I got from this, so I'm going to tell you guys that in a second. That's why I'm like, oh, bitch. Remember, he like moved all of his stuff out and moved to his sister's house, and he called me and he's like, hey, I'm living with my sister now. And I was like, oh, why? And he's like, oh, well, I broke up with my girlfriend. And I was like, oh, like, why? Like, why did you, I thought that you were going to give things a try. And he was like, which was wrong anyway. It's like, we shouldn't, even though he had a girlfriend, me and him should not have been texting and like having casual conversation. But I thought it was okay because, you know, we ran in the same circle and we had the same friends. And I was like, I'm telling you guys right now, I am not a homewrecker. I was very much so, like, we kept it very casual, not flirtatious, very just like, you know what I'm saying? Like just friendly. And we didn't talk too much, but we did talk sometimes. So he's like, well, you know, I really want to give us a try. And I knew that, you know, if I broke up with her, I'd have to move out because he was living at her house. And he was like, you know, I want to give things a try with you. So I figured I would just break up with her, move out, move to my sister's, and me and you can try things. And logically, what a healed woman would do would say, okay, so what you're saying without saying it is that you broke up with her to be with me. And I don't know if you guys have ever heard this quote, but it says, how you find them or how you get them is how you'll lose them. So if you get a man because he breaks up with his girlfriend for you, he will probably either cheat on you or break up with you for somebody else, right? It's like if they cheat with you, they'll cheat on you. Now, don't get me wrong, in the situation, he did not cheat on her with me. We didn't do anything. But he did basically break up with her for me. And at that time, I should have been like, if you're willing to break up with your girlfriend to give somebody else a chance, what makes me so special or different that you are not going to do the same thing with me? So happy I went through this. Now I can now talk about it and reflect and hopefully install some knowledge into people who are watching this. But as women, this is why we truly need to do the work, whether it's going to therapy or, you know, spiritual work or trauma work, right? Into knowing our worth, because so many of us, because we either have a lack of a caregiver's presence in life, or because we weren't properly taught tools on how to love ourselves and how to seek validation from us first internally rather than external things like people or material items. It's so important to learn that before you start getting into like serious relationships. Otherwise, you'll always seek validation externally. And I think that's what I did, was I sought out validation from men to affirm to me that I'm beautiful, to affirm to me that I'm worthy, instead of getting that validation from myself and just knowing that I'm beautiful and knowing that I'm worthy, because I've always been beautiful and worthy. I just always didn't know that. And so at that time, because I didn't have those proper tools, and as my therapist says, you don't know what you don't know, right? You can't go to somebody and give them tools and be like, hey, my car is broken, I need you to fix it. If they're not a mechanic, they're gonna look at you like you're freaking crazy. You can't expect somebody to know their worth and know who they are and to say no to things that are bad to them if they seek validation from those things, right? And I'm not excusing my behavior in any way. I'm just trying to tell you guys, if you have someone in your life that's like this, give them a little grace and compassion and patience, because they're learning and they're working through a lot, and you never know what somebody has been through in their life. We ended up dating for a couple months. There was so many red flags, like how he was extremely financially unstable. I was having to give him, I only gave him my credit card one time to put gas in his car, because even I knew that that was not right to do. And I was like 19 and he was like 22, asking me to do that for him. He started out strong, but then, you know, I would go out and I would have like concerts to go to or events with friends, and he would be like, oh, just, you know, make sure you're not cheating on me, which if anybody is asking you to not cheat on them, it's because they are cheating on you. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. It's just the freaking truth. Or they're just really insecure and they need to work on themselves and they're projecting. Another red flag was the fact that we would always have consistent communication. We would talk all day, and then all of a sudden it went from us talking all day to me working from 9 to 6, coming home and expecting to have a phone call or a conversation or a texting conversation with him, and he would be going out from like 7 o'clock to like 2 in the morning, and he wouldn't text me until he got home. And if a man is only texting you at nighttime, or he only wants to see you at nighttime, or he's going out with his friends all the time and never inviting you, it's because there's another girl there. So there was a lot of things that were going on that I was catching wind to and I was catching on to, but I didn't have enough concrete evidence and proof to go off of it and break up with him. And now that I'm reflecting, I'm realizing that I didn't need concrete evidence and proof. You don't need concrete evidence and proof to leave somebody. If your intuition is telling you somebody's bad for you, which normally comes up in anger or sadness or parts of our body feeling very tight, right? Like our bodies are our internal navigation system. And when somebody feels good, you feel at ease and you feel happy and you feel there's like a flow. But when someone feels bad for you, there's a super tight, stagnant feeling within your body. And that's your body's way of telling you like this person is not good for you. And so I started to feel like something was going on and that he wasn't being honest with me. And there was one day where I was on Facebook and this girl had made a painting and she had tagged Ryan in it, and there was like a little heart, and so I texted him and I'm like, who's that girl that put that on your Facebook wall and tagged you in it? And he was like, oh, that's my friend, we're just gonna call her Alyssa. He was like, oh, that's my friend Alyssa. I had a tattooing machine and I sold it to her, and she's an artist, so sometimes she'll do artwork for me and give it to me, and I'll either give it to my sister, or I'll give it to someone as a present, or I'll hang it up on my wall, and that's it. Like nothing else is going on. That's just it. She just is one of my friends. And I'm like, oh, okay, like that actually seems, you know, pretty fair enough. So I let that go, but I kept it in my back pocket. There was another night where I was coming home from a country concert and he had texted me and he's like, hey, like I know it's late and that you're on the road, but can you please come over? I'm having a really hard mental health day. I just need you. And I said, yeah, absolutely, no problem. So I end up driving all the way to his house. This country concert was in New Jersey, okay? So I drove from New Jersey to Connecticut to his house, and as I pull up, he's not there yet. And I'm kind of confused because I'm like, why is he not at his house yet? He told me to be here. And so I text him and I'm like, hey, like I'm here at your house, where are you? And he goes, oh, I'm up the street. I had to, you know, have my friend take me up the street to go grab something, but I'll be there in a couple of minutes. And I was like, okay. And so he pulls up in this black car and the windows are all tinted, so I can't see anybody who's inside. And he gets out of the passenger seat. He goes up to his house, doesn't come up to my car. Most people would be like, oh, she's here, let me go up to her car and get her out. He goes to his mailbox, which most people's mailboxes are in front of their house, but some are like right next to the door. Goes up to his mailbox, checks the mailbox, and then comes back to my car and is like, okay, yeah, come on, let's go inside. And so I asked him, I'm like, why did you just go check the mailbox when it's 2 o'clock in the morning? Bitch, who the fuck is sending mail at 2 o'clock in the morning? Pretty sure mailmen end their day around 5. What are you doing? Make it make sense. So he's like, oh, my sister told me that, you know, to just check the mail because she forgot to get it today, but there's nothing in there. And I was like, okay. So I go into his house, end up spending the night there, and the next day, he's telling me how he's waterproofing the inside of his car, inside of his Jeep, because he wants to be able to have the top down when it's raining without worrying about putting it back on, because the top is like super heavy and it's super hard to put it back on the car. And I'm like, you're spending $300 to waterproof the inside of your car, yet I just had to buy you Subway the other day because you said you don't have money to eat. It makes no sense. Like, he had this job that was like literally 2 hours away, so he'd have to wake up every day and go to that job, driving this truck that cost $100 to fill up. So he's basically putting $100 into it like every 3 days. So it's like, if you can't afford the gas, if you can't afford the mileage, if you can't afford to even keep up with this car to the point where you're not eating, why are you, get another job? On top of it too, there was no insurance on this car. Like, no registration, nothing. If he got pulled over, that car would have been impounded immediately. So I'm just looking at this and I'm like, this man has got his priorities all the way messed up. But let me just, you know, like, let me just write it out. Maybe he'll change. Maybe, you know, I'm that person that needs to come into his life and teach him responsibility. No. You know whose job that is? That's a mother's job. And a lot of men do not want a girlfriend or a wife. They want a mom. They want somebody to come in and to fulfill that role that they didn't have growing up. So they'll look for you to take care of them financially, mentally, and physically. But we all know men were brought here to be providers and women were brought here to be nurturers. So men want to operate in their masculinity, right, and do whatever they want to do. And they want us women to operate in our femininity and be nurturers and take care of the kids and make sure that the house is neat and make sure that all the responsibilities, cooking, cleaning, laundry, are lined up, while also being in masculine energy and going 50-50. I think the fuck not. In this situation, I just was like, maybe he'll change, maybe this and that. And I kept telling myself these lies because I hate leaving people. I hate breaking up with people and having them feel hurt or knowing that I caused anybody pain, because I know what that feeling is like, and so I don't want to inflict it onto other people. So time goes on and I'm one day just driving from home, minding my business, and my best friend Tori calls me and she's like, hey girl, I need to talk to you, but like, if you're in the car, I'm gonna wait till you get home, or you may want to pull over because it's a lot. Like, I need you to sit down before I tell you this conversation. And I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna pull over. So actually, my house was like down the street from where I was at. So I was like, okay, girl, I'm almost home. What? So I pull over to the side of the road and she tells me, she's like, I don't know how to tell you this, but me and my boyfriend John just called me and he told me that today him and his friends were hanging out and this girl was there and her name was Alyssa, and that apparently she was talking about how she's talking to Ryan and that she's upset because things haven't been working out and he hasn't been communicating with her consistently, and that she thinks he's talking to another girl and that she just is so upset about it. And so obviously, you know, John knows you, so he told her like, that's weird because my girl is best friends with this girl named Dakota, and I'm pretty sure that she has been talking to him for quite some time, and that I'm pretty sure they're like basically in a relationship. And so my best friend Tori basically called me to relay the message, and she's like, it's true, like he talked to her, they looked into it, like he saw the text messages, they have been hanging out for quite some time, like she's been sleeping over there, etc. And I'm just sitting there and I'm like, I know this motherfucker is not having me put money towards him to put in his gas tank. I only did it one time, but still. asking me to buy him food because he can't eat, criticizing me, telling me that I'm not ready for a relationship. Like, he would tell me all the time, because he was a couple years older than me, he'd be like, oh, like, you're immature, like, I don't think you're ready to be in a relationship. Like, at 19, you are acceptably immature. You are supposed to be immature from being a teenager. Like, when you're 19, you're not an adult, you are still a teenager. Like, I'm sorry, but even when you're 20, let's be real, like, your prefrontal cortex is not even fully fucking developed. Like, you are still a teenager, and you are acceptably naive and immature, okay? And he would like make fun of the way that I talked. He would say that I acted really immature and that I was like a child and needed to grow up, and he would like criticize me a lot. And I just was like, I cannot believe this man has really used me as his personal projection punching bag, because he has nothing going on in his life, because he's unhappy where he's at, and because he doesn't have the motivation to get to where he wants to be. So now he is projecting that onto me, because like, I had my shit together, I had a good job, I had my own car that I paid my registration, my title, and my insurance. Thank you. I paid all my bills by myself. I didn't ask anybody for help. I was working a full-time job and trying to go to school. I had this whole life planned out for me, and I honestly think that he was envious of that. And a lot of people that you will meet relationship wise will sometimes be envious, especially narcissistic men will be envious of what you have going on, and will try to take that from you by diminishing your confidence, diminishing your self-worth, and diminishing your image. And so what that narcissistic men will do is they will beat you down to the point where you think that you need validation from them. It's like you can only get validation from them, nobody else. And so they make you codependent on them after beating you down for so long and for so much, that to the point where you're like, well, damn, maybe I'm not pretty, damn, maybe I'm not smart. And then you'll need them to constantly tell you that, right? You become dependent on them, and you become codependent on them because they are codependent on you and your energy, because they're energy vampires. So that was the situation that was going on. And for me, cheating is one and done. That is non-negotiable. I don't care what nobody says. I know some people were like, well, me and my man were together and he cheated on me and we got over it and now we're married and happy. Great for you, Cassandra. But for me personally, I could never in a million years have someone cheat on me and then get back together with them and think that that's going to be a successful relationship present day. Absolutely not. It's always going to be in the back of your mind if they're cheating on you. It's always going to be in the back of your mind if they're doing something. It's always going to be in the back of your mind to look at their phone to see if they're up to something. Or when they tell you that they're with their friends having a guy's night and they're coming home late, you're going to wonder if they're making a stop on the way home to see another girl. It's always going to be in the back of your mind. Acceptably so, because they're the ones who did it. So I just knew right then and there that I could never be back together with him again. I ended up completely cutting him off, telling him to never speak to me again, telling him I wanted nothing to do with him. And he had the nerve, you guys, to tell me that it was nothing. She only came over a couple times and slept over. I was mainly focused on you. She was nothing to me. And I'm like, it doesn't matter. You still cheated. You had a whole girl come over and sleep in your bed and you slept with her. Did you accidentally do that? I'm sorry, but was it an accident that you texted her and asked her to come over? Was it an accident that she laid in your bed and slept there? Was it an accident that you guys slept together knowing you have a girlfriend? I think the fuck not. So where's the mistake here? A mistake is when you select answer D instead of selecting answer A on a Scantron. That's a mistake, not accidentally having a girl come over and sleep in your bed. And then it all started to click and make sense. I'm like, this is why he goes out and he doesn't invite me anymore, because she's there at the hookah bar with him, which was confirmed to me by multiple sources, including him. That's why you don't text me until 2 o'clock in the morning until after she leaves your house. That's why you have been projecting onto me whenever I go out somewhere, oh, well, I hope you're not cheating on me, because you're the one motherfucking cheating. All this started to make sense for me, and I felt so stupid. I said, wow, Dakota, you really let a man do this to you, and you knew it the whole time because your intuition was telling you something was wrong and you didn't listen to it, right? I was so frustrated, so mad at myself, and I couldn't believe that I had allowed myself to get put in this situation. So at this time I said, you know what? Forget him. I don't care anymore. I'm going to take this pain and this anger and put it into my future to make sure that I'm a successful person. Until 2 weeks later, when I missed my period on July 1st of 2013, bitch. I knew I was pregnant. You know you're pregnant before you even read those 2 lines on a fucking pregnancy test. Your body just tells you, and I knew I was pregnant. I went to Planned Parenthood that day because, by the way, you guys, I had no health insurance, okay? I had just started my job. I was in my job since I started my job in April. It was July. So I was in my job 3 months fresh, trying to find footing there, you know, saving up for school. Actually, I think I was enrolled to go to school by then. It just hadn't started yet. I was waiting for September to come to start my fall semester. I had no health insurance because I was waiting until I could get health insurance at my job, but I wasn't eligible for it yet. And every time I would go to like a Walmart or a Walgreens or a CVS, would pick up a test, go to the counter, and not want to pay for it because at this time self-checkout wasn't a huge thing. And I was worried that the person checking me out was going to look at me and be like, you look like you're 13. Why are you buying a motherfucking pregnancy test? And I was so scared. So I would always go and put it back. And I was just absolutely terrified. And I remember I was like, Dakota, just go to Planned Parenthood and just see. So I went to Planned Parenthood, and the whole time I'm there, I am just like literally shaking in my boots. I literally remember I walked in, and before you walk into Planned Parenthood, it's like this big white building. You walk in and they have like a little like window right there, and it's before you walk into the big doors, and they ask you like why you're here, because they obviously give services for other things. So if you want a service for that without being judged, that's where you go in the beginning to kind of have some privacy and say, hey, I'm here for this or that. So I told her, I was like, I'm just here to get a pregnancy test today. And she was like, okay, no problem. Go into this room, fill out the paperwork, you know, yada, 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 things that you do at a doctor's office, exchange IDs, insurance cards. I didn't have insurance, so I didn't have to do that. You know, I'm not going to bore you with the details. So I go in and I explain to the doctor basically how I miss my period and how I just think that I'm pregnant. And she tells me that I'm so young and that it's probably stress from work and that she highly doubts that I'm pregnant. So as she tells me that, I'm just like, well, shit, I have been a little stressed lately. I mean, this man has been stressing me out beyond belief. So maybe it's just stress causing my hormones to not have me, you know, get my period regularly. Until she comes in after I do my pee test being like, so you're pregnant. And I'm like, I fucking know that. You just gave me hope for a second that maybe I'm not. Like, you know what I mean? So she basically tells me what my options are. You know, if I want to go this way, here's the paperwork and here's what you do for that. If I want to go that way, that here's the paperwork and here's what you do for that. You know, whether I want to keep it or not. And, you know, she tells me that whole story and I basically leave there and I'm like, well, what am I going to do now, right? Like, I knew in my heart and my soul that this child was brought to me by God for a reason. And I actually felt okay. Like, I wasn't scared. I wasn't anxious. I didn't cry. I was just like, you know what? Okay, you know what? I'm pregnant and I, you know, did this and I'm going to be a good ass mom and I am going to follow through with this and I'm going to give this baby the best life possible, a life that I never had. And I knew that I was going to do it alone. I knew in my heart and I knew in my soul that Ryan was not going to be involved, and I knew that I would be a single mother. And even knowing that, I just had this like overwhelming sense of strength, this overwhelming sense of, Dakota, you got this, you're good. Look at how much you've been through in your life. Look at how much you have overcome. You've overcome being molested. You've overcome your parents divorcing. You've overcome having a stepdad that you couldn't stand. You've overcome all this trauma, all of this just like things that have happened to you. Like, girl, you're good. You are freaking good. So I left there and I basically had contacted Ryan for the first time in a long time. And by the way, at this point, he was in a relationship with the girl that he cheated on me with, but it was nothing. So I basically reached out to him and I was like, hey, not reaching out to get back together, not reaching out and trying to disrespect you and your girlfriend, but this is what's going on. I need you to call me. I need you to text me, or maybe we can meet up because I have very important news to share with you. I ended up telling him that I'm pregnant and that with or without him, I'm keeping this baby, and that, you know, whatever he decides to do is what he decides to do. But, you know, we did this and it's here. And by the way, it's so funny because so many people want to put this stigma on women who get pregnant at a young age, right? I got pregnant at 19. And here's the thing that I want to say about that. Most girls that I know or knew have unprotected sex. I'm doing the same thing that all of y'all are doing. I just happened to get pregnant. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was just the one that happened to get pregnant. But don't act like you also don't partake in these activities of having unprotected sex, right? There's so many people, especially like baby boomers, who want to judge on people getting pregnant at a young age. And it's like, we're doing the same thing that all y'all bitches were doing. We just got pregnant. Like, are you kidding me? Like, you just were the one that didn't get pregnant. Like, I can't stand that stigma. It's so annoying. Just like, I remember when I was pregnant with my daughter, so many people stopped talking to me in my family. And that's why I don't really have a relationship with them to this day, because I just felt like that was very wrong. Like, I have cousins who we'd go from talking every single day who all of a sudden weren't talking to me anymore, weren't asking me to hang out anymore, didn't reach out and say congratulations when I posted my ultrasound. I had, you know, certain family telling my mom, not telling me, but telling my mom, well, you know, maybe she should just like give it up for adoption or this and that. And then I had some people who were really freaking supportive and who were super happy for me, and they were like, oh my God, Dakota, you're gonna be the best mom ever. And it was very like wishy-washy, but I think at this time, you know, as much as I say that daycare was like a shit show to work at this time, it was the greatest blessing to ever happen to me, because when I first started working there, the woman there that I first started to work with were amazing. They were all mothers. They were older mothers. They gave me advice. They helped me. I had parents bringing in presents for me because they knew that I was pregnant. Like, the parents and the staff there at that time were amazing, and they would bring in like swaddling blankets for me, or they would bring in little clothes for her. They would bring in just like little gifts. Like, I literally had so many of my parents bringing me in gifts for my daughter. They had a baby shower for me there, a surprise one. Like, you know what? That's why I say when you have these seasons in your life, you have to be grateful for them and you have to fulfill them. Even though that daycare wasn't the best job, at that time, it's exactly what I needed. It gave me an income. There were a ton of people there to give me advice because I was by myself. I was literally living with my dad. He doesn't fucking know how to raise a baby. You know what I'm saying? Especially a baby girl. At this time, I just really needed that, and I'm so happy that they were there to fulfill that purpose in my life, because I don't know what I would have done. I do have a pregnancy part 1 and 2 story if you want to know more details about that. And you guys can just go look at that if you need to get caught up a little bit. I'll put a link down below and also a card timestamp right here. The long story short, when I was pregnant with my daughter, Ryan wasn't around at all. Never came to meet my parents, never bought her a diaper, never bought her a toy, didn't buy her one thing off the registry, didn't ask me what she needed. The only thing that he was focused on when I was pregnant was us getting back together, because he wanted us to be a family. Basically, he wanted to be a dad, but he wanted it to be with the 3 of us. He didn't want to be a dad outside of me. So the whole pregnancy, all he focused on was us being together, and all he focused on was being with me. It was never about Aubrey. It was never about just her. It was about the 3 of us, and I didn't want to be with him, and I would tell him that time and time again, and he just wasn't understanding it. And what ended up happening was I found myself always stressed out because I was trying to get him to get help and go to therapy to work on his issues. That way, by the time my daughter was here, we could maybe co-parent, because I knew I was going to be a single parent, but I thought in my head, maybe if he gets better, maybe if he starts going to therapy and working through his issues, because he has a lot of stuff that he's gone through as well, and I'll give that to him, that maybe when she comes, he can be an involved parent and we can co-parent and be friends, right? But he didn't know boundaries, and I felt very uncomfortable a lot of the time. So I ended up, just waking up one day being like, why am I stressing myself out so much to try and get this man help, to try and get him a job, because he couldn't hold a job to save his life. I was like, Dakota, you have one child coming into this world that is going to take up all your time, all of your energy, everything. I knew once I had her, my life would change completely for the best. But I was like, you already have one child coming into this world. Why are you taking care of another one who's a grown-ass man? So that day forward, I was like, you know what? You're on your own. Do what you're gonna do. Get a job or don't get a job. Get help or don't get help. I quite frankly don't give a rat's ass. And I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do, and I'm going to start pouring this energy that I've been pouring into you onto myself, because I'm the one that's going to be taking care of our daughter. He would say things like, you don't understand. I'm tired, stressed, and depressed. And I'd be like, oh, You don't say, because I didn't just come home after a 9-hour shift for being 8 months pregnant, where my ankles are swelling to the point where my feet almost can't fit into my shoe anymore. But you're tired, stressed, and depressed because you've been job hunting all day. Interesting. Right there in that moment is where my power came into fruition. I said to myself, I am no longer ever in my life going to put myself in a position where I'm trying to take care of another man. That is not my job. I'm a mother, but I am not your mother. I told myself I'm going to be my biggest advocate and my daughter's biggest advocate, and I am never going to let somebody walk all over me again. I am never going to give somebody the power again to talk to me a certain way and to tell me about myself when they can't even look at themselves in the mirror. I will never give somebody the power again to break me down, because as long as I have the power of God and the power of my daughter and the strength that my ancestors and my spirit team gives me, I don't care what happens. I don't care who comes or who goes. It doesn't matter anymore. It's not about them. It's about me and it's about my child. And if it does not have to do with that, you can literally kiss my ass. And I remember this day specifically, I was like laying in my bed and I got that message about him being depressed and stressed and tired. And I'm like, I'm literally here 8 months pregnant, working my ass off, 9 hours a day. You don't even have a job. And the kicker is that I was getting maternity leave, but I wasn't getting paid for it. So I was taking my checks and I was saving every ounce of every single penny so I could survive when I was off of work. And what was he doing? Nothing. So I just had that's why honestly I'm so happy. Like, my life has been anything but easy. My life has been anything but a straight line. It has been an absolute roller coaster, emotionally, physically, mentally, and spiritually. But everything that has happened in my life has served its purpose for a greater reason. If I did not become a mother at 19 years old, I would not be the woman that I am today. She was brought into my life to save me and protect me from what could have been in the path that I could have gone down. And I am so thankful for that. Yes, I was a teen mom, but I did not let that title define me. I became a woman overnight because of this blessing that was being brought into my life. I could have sat there and I could have said, okay, I literally just got a job. I have no money in my savings account. I don't even have health insurance. I'm living with my father. I'm driving down a beat old 94 Honda Civic. I could have given up in that moment. I could have sat there and I could have been like, you know what? Whatever happens, happens. I don't care anymore. Jesus, take the wheel. No, but I decided to take that own wheel. I decided to turn everything that was happening to me, and I decided to be the person that was going to determine my destiny and my future. I did not let that teen mom title define me. No, instead I took that and I said, nobody else is going to tell me about myself and who I'm going to be as a mother. I'm going to tell myself who I'm going to be as a mother. And literally overnight, I got this overwhelming strength and determination and motivation to literally change my life so I could become the mother that I was destined to be. I didn't let anybody else define that for me. I didn't let anything outside of me define who I was, because only I can define who I am. I am the only one who has the power to tell myself anything about what I want to be. And that can go with so many things in your life, you guys. It doesn't just have to be parenthood. Nobody can tell you that your job position is not valid. Nobody can tell you the work you're doing is not valid. Nobody can tell you that what you're doing isn't a good thing. You're the only person that can tell yourself that. There's so many people when I was going to therapy that was like, why are you in therapy? Why are you paying somebody to tell you about yourself? Because I want to get better. Why are you doing YouTube? You know that most people don't make that. It's like a 1 in a million chance. Well, guess what, bitch? I was that 1 in a million. And if I believed everybody else that was telling me about myself throughout everything, through when I was a parent, from when I moved from New Jersey to Connecticut, from when I moved out, from when I built my business, from when I became a YouTuber, if I had listened to all those little peanut gallery voices in my life that wanted me to fail, that wanted me to lose because they are still in their season of grieving a life that they wanted but never had the determination to have it, seek into fruition, I wouldn't be where I am today. And that's why it's so important in life to always bet on yourself. I saw this quote when I was about a year into my journey of motherhood that said the best thing I did in life was believe in me. Because best believe that when I was 19 and I was pregnant, I had so many people turn against me. I had so many people stop talking to me. I had so many people that were never said it to me, but I knew mentally just were like not supportive or just waiting to see me fail. And the best thing that I did was take all of that and use it as motivation to be a bomb-ass mother, to be a bomb-ass businesswoman, to be a bomb-ass person in general, and not let those little voices define me. Never let somebody's inability to believe in themselves and see their dreams come into fruition and play out make you second guess or question yours. That is just projection. Everybody is projecting, and the minute that you fall and conform to that is the minute that you stop believing in yourself. There's this quote that says some people die at 25 but aren't buried until they're 75.
I'll let you go. I'm working right now.
Yeah, me too. What are you doing? I'm filming.
Oh, what's the video about?
None of your business. You watch it, you'll see. You can help me out with money by watching my video. Most people in their 20s give up on their dreams. They give up on themselves. They don't see things fall to fruition. They don't believe in themselves enough to get to where they need to be because of naysayers, because of people around them telling them that they're never going to amount to anything. And so then they in turn condemned to that and believe it. Every graveyard you see is worth $1 million because the people that are buried in those graves probably had $1 million idea that they never sought out, that they never carried through because of people like this who project and tell you that you're not going to be anything. The best thing you can do in your life is believe in yourself and bet on yourself. Forget what everybody else is saying. Forget how many people are doing it. Forget how oversaturated the community is, right? Get out there, fulfill your dreams, and believe in yourself. Whether you have $0 in your bank account or $1 million in your bank account, believe in yourself, because you are the only you that you have. You are the only person that can make this happen. The only thing you can do in life is bet on yourself. That is how you become successful. So aside from that, I had my daughter and I did everything by myself, and I've been doing everything by myself for about 9 years. He would come in and out kind of in the beginning, like every now and then to, you know, see her, but never long enough or consistently enough for it to stick. And she was also so young that she's not going to remember who she is. So he came around a bit when she was like 6 months old, and then ended up doing his thing, and then he came back around again when she was about 3 or 4 years old. And I never told her we were like going to see her dad, because I know the type of person that he is. I know he's inconsistent. I know he doesn't follow through with things. And foremost, I'm always going to protect my daughter. I'm always going to put an umbrella over her so the rain does not get all over her. Like, I will always protect her first and foremost. So I would tell her we were going to see mommy's friend. That way she didn't put 2 and 2 together and be like, oh, this is my dad, and then have him show up and then ghost us or disappear and then have her be disappointed, which is exactly what happened, where he came around again and then he just disappeared. And he would text me on holidays and basically say, hey, tell Aubrey I said Merry Christmas, wish things were different. And I'm like, she doesn't even know who you are, so why am I going to tell her that? And if you want things to be different, make things different. It always seemed in the past to put the responsibility on me, that I was the reason that, you know, our co-parenting relationship didn't work, and that I was the reason that he wouldn't come around that often, because if we were together, he'd be there all the time, and that the reason why, you know, this is not working out is because I don't want to be with him. Like, he would always place that blame onto me, and I'm so thankful that at that time I had done so much work on myself and I'd stepped into that power, because I didn't believe a word of it and I knew that it was a load of crap. But had I been, you know, the younger version of myself who was so naive and who was so gullible and who was like a sponge for people's criticism, I would have internalized that and believed that about myself. And that's what narcissists do, is they try to get you to believe these horrible things about yourself, because that's actually what they think about themselves. So yeah, in conclusion, I have been a single mom, doing it all on my own without anybody's help for the past 9 years. Of course, you know, thankful for my parents, because they will watch Aubrey if I have, like, you know, something to do or somewhere to go. And, you know, they know that Aubrey knows that she's loved because of my parents and because of the relationships that she does have with them. So, but, you know, aside from that, you know, financially, mentally, physically, I've been doing it all on my own for the past 9 years. And my daughter is amazing, and she has been just having the best childhood, a childhood that I could only dream of, because I refuse to give her a childhood that she has to recover from. And if anything, this experience has only made me stronger as I sit here 9 years later and I reflect on me being such a young mother, but I also reflect on that story of me sitting here and telling you guys about how I was cheated on and how I could have just, first of all, as a mom, I could have been like, you know what, financially it would be easier if we were together, so maybe let's give him a chance. And I had so many people telling me that. So many people telling me, Dakota, just give him a chance. Don't you want your family together? Or Dakota, you know, give your daughter his last name because then she's not going to feel that connection to him. If I would have listened to those people, I wouldn't be where I'm at today, which is happy and successful. I gave my daughter my last name because I was the one that was there for 8 months. I was the one that would make sure that I was eating so that she was getting nutrition. I was the one getting my prenatals and taking them. I was the one going to work every day to provide us a life of stability and success. I was the one going to all the doctor's appointments, getting the ultrasounds, doing everything I had to, doing the blood work, missing work and missing time and money so I could get to my doctor's appointments, and then rushing to work after to do a 9-hour shift to make sure that we had money in the bank and food in the fridge. I was the one who did all that. Where was he? Not doing shit. Why should she have his last name? It takes two to make a baby, but it takes a parent to be a dad. Never forget that. If you are a young mom or a mom in general who is just like me, maybe you're struggling, or maybe you are having doubts, or maybe you were in a position that I was in 9 years ago, or maybe now you're just a single mom and you're trying to navigate and wonder what life is going to bring you, just know that life has its challenges, but it also has its beautiful moments. There is beauty in every single challenge. A child is an absolute blessing from God, blessing from the universe. And instead of focusing on what you don't have or lack thereof, focus on what you do have and work with what you have. As single moms, I think that we are some of the strongest women on the whole entire planet. We learn how to make pennies stretch. We learn how to make money stretch. We learn how to do the damn thing, whether we have support or not. And I think that we are honestly superheroes, literally, because we do this shit every single day. We wake up, we go to work, make sure our kids are getting an education, we make sure that they are on the right track and having a childhood that we could only dream of, all while dealing with our own internal conflict and trauma, all while trying to still have a life outside of that. That way we don't get, you know, lost in motherhood and we lose our identity. We are honestly superheroes. We are so strong. We are amazing women. And I just want to let you know that if you are a single mom or just a mom in general, that I love you and I'm so fucking proud of you, and that you are the best mom that that baby will ever have, and they are going to grow up and look back and remind you of that constantly. You're doing a great job. I love you. I believe in you. Know that you have the strength of all the women around you who are encouraging you to keep going, to keep pushing. I know some days it's hard, but don't focus too much on that, because guess what? The days are long, but the years go super fast. And before we know it, they're going to be grown up. And it's important to just soak in all of the great moments, whether they're shitty or whether they're great. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video of how I became a single mother. And there really is not too much of an update. Like I said, I've been doing this on my own for many years without the help of him. And honestly, we're doing great. We're doing amazing. My daughter loves her life. She's in a great school, getting a great education. She does horseback riding. She does gymnastics. She's going to learn how to do guitar and do art lessons pretty soon. We're happy. We're healthy. We're in a good spot. I now have a job where I am super flexible and able to, you know, not have to jump through 9,000 hoops in order to figure out how I'm going to get her to the doctor, or how I'm going to pick her up from school earlier if she's sick, because I don't have people that can, like, you know, watch her just on like a last minute call. So I'm grateful to you guys for gifting me, because I would not be out here without any of you, for gifting me this platform, gifting me this opportunity to come here, show up, tell my story, but also make an income from it and do what I love every single day. So thank you guys so much for supporting me, whether you watch my videos, like them, watch the ads, comment down below, share with your friends. I just truly love you guys so much, and I can't wait to get into the financial position where I can give back to you guys and do giveaways and just give you guys what you need and what you deserve, because you guys are the best family I've ever had. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, to leave a comment down below, subscribe, and turn your post notifications on. Also, don't forget to follow me on all my socials. Links are always in my bio, as well as my intro and outro song, the code for the lashes that I use, and things of that nature. Don't forget to follow my personal development podcast. That way you guys can catch me when I am not here on YouTube. And until then, I'll see you in my next video. Bye.
Isn't an option due to unusual rain and thunder. Baby, I wonder